You're watching Nightline with me, Zahir, Kelvin and Abdullah. News making the headlines. Malaysia and Egypt to take a more proactive and firm role in ending violence. And cadet suffers fractured spine and rib after allegedly being stomped on by senior. Malaysia and Egypt have agreed to take a more proactive and firm role in ensuring that violence is stopped, lives are saved and universal justice is upheld. This shared stance was reached during a meeting between Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the Al-Ittihadiyah Palace in Cairo. Anwar made a courtesy visit to the Egyptian president at 11 a.m. local time. The two leaders discussed the situation in Palestine, with Malaysia commending Egypt's efforts alongside Qatar and the United States in mediating an end to the oppression by the Zionist regime. The meeting also addressed the worsening situation in Lebanon, which could potentially escalate conflicts in the Middle East. Additionally, various initiatives towards strengthening the strategic partnership between Malaysia and Egypt were discussed, covering areas such as investment and trade, palm oil, the halal industry, education, tourism, health, as well as natural resources and renewable energy. Later, in a joint press conference, Anwar conveyed Malaysia's appreciation for Egypt's support in its participation in BRICS, underscoring its shared commitment towards fostering greater economic collaboration and sustainable development. The Prime Minister pointed out that Malaysia had learned a lot from Egypt in the non-aligned movement, and it is seen as a leading voice in terms of resilience, independence and neutrality consistent with ASEAN's position of centrality.
As chair of ASEAN in next year, of course, we will try in our level best to engage and to have our colleagues also to engage with Egypt. It's an important player in the region, and I will certainly do my level best to be to ensure that ASEAN benefit from its relationship with Egypt, because you have been a founder of the African Union. You have an important voice in this region.
Both leaders also expressed hope that the relationship between Malaysia and Egypt would continue to thrive and strengthen for the benefit of the citizens of both nations, further cementing the 65-year-old diplomatic bond between the two countries. Earlier, the Prime Minister's plane landed at the Presidential Arrival Hall of Cairo International Airport at 6:30 p.m. local time. Anwar was welcomed at the airport by Egypt's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, along with senior Egyptian government officials. This four-day official visit is at the invitation of Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. It marks the 65th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. This is Anwar's second visit to Egypt, the first being in October last year. On Monday, the Prime Minister will travel to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to attend the Arab Islamic Summit, which will discuss the current situations in Palestine and Lebanon, as well as regional developments, before returning to Cairo to continue his official visit in Egypt. The Agriculture and Food Security Ministry has stressed that the suspension of the constitution of the National Farmers Organisation NAFAS is not politically motivated. Its Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu said the decision was made in order to improve the management and governance of the organisation. Muhammad Sabu said a discussion was held with Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi before any decision was made.
Datuk Zahid bersetuju 100%. Tak ada kena-mengena dengan parti politik di sini. Yang pentingnya dia pun bersetuju buat satu pemboran, dan dia sebut pula nama-nama orang yang tu. Ini saya tak mau sebut di sinilah. Itu serah kepada SPRM.
The constitution of NAFAS was suspended effective November 1st due to internal conflicts and disharmony that have impacted its operations and functions. Last Thursday, former Public Service Director General Tan Sri Zainal Rahim Seman was appointed as NAFAS Advisory Council Chairman. The newly appointed Advisory Council members will design a new structure and reforms for NAFAS. Another bullying case has allegedly occurred at University Pertahanan Nasional Malaysia, UPNM, in Sungai Besi, involving a 19-year-old student who is being warded in a hospital for 2 fractures. The victim, a first-year student, suffered serious injuries, including a fractured rib and spine, after he was allegedly assaulted by a senior student at the campus on October 21st. City Police Chief Datuk Rusdi Muhammad Isa said a police report was lodged on Friday over the assault which took place over the roll call process near the marching grounds of the university campus. The victim sustained fractures to his ribs and spine after being allegedly stomped on by a third-year cadet. He is currently receiving medical treatment at a nearby hospital. Rusdi said the case is being investigated under Section 325 of the Penal Code for causing grievous hurt. Previously, a cadet from the university was accused of causing hurt to a junior using a hot steam iron on October 22nd. The 22-year-old was charged at the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court on November 8, where he claimed trial to the offence. The Education Ministry will incorporate the Reproductive and Social Health Education module, known as PEERS, into the 2027 school curriculum to address the rising number of teenage pregnancies in the country. Its Minister, Fadlina Siddiq, said the decision had also been approved by the Women, Family and Community Development Ministry. She said the ministry welcomes cross-country collaboration to tackle the issue of out-of-wedlock pregnancies and are focusing on the educational agenda, particularly those closely related to reproductive health.
Begitu juga dari semasa ke semasa kita menjalankan program-program berkaitan advokasi yang terkait rapat dengan isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan kesihatan reproduktif. Termasuk program-program bersama Kementerian Wanita menangani isu gangguan seksual, menangani isu-isu yang terkait rapat dengan isu-isu kesihatan gadis, kemudian safe touch, bad touch, masih lagi kita laksanakan di peringkat KPKM.
Fadlina added that the PEERS module would empower teachers and students with the necessary information on the issue. The module will be incorporated into the curriculum under health education, starting from preschool to secondary school. Students will be provided with information and skills, particularly psychosocial competencies, to make informed decisions in their daily lives. Earlier, Women, Family and Community Development Minister Datuk Sri Nancy Shukri had expressed concern over issues surrounding teenage pregnancies, child marriages, baby dumping and unsafe abortions in the country. Health Ministry data showed that 44,263 cases of teenage pregnancies had been recorded over the past 5 years, with 17,646 cases involving unmarried teenagers. In Perak, police arrested a 21-year-old man believed to have killed his aunt at a home in Taman Putri Lindungan Bintang on Sunday morning. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Abang Zainal Abidin Abang Ahmad said police received a report from the public who had discovered the 54-year-old woman unconscious and locked in a room of the house at around 8:30 a.m. Abang Zainal Abidin said an initial examination of the deceased at the scene found the body was already in a decomposed state. The body was sent to the forensic unit of Hospital Raja Permaisuri Bainun for an autopsy to determine the cause of the death. He said a remand application will be made at the Magistrates' Court on Monday. He added that urine tests on the suspect returned negative for drugs and he has no prior criminal record. The case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. In Johor, a housewife was charged in the Johor Bahru Sessions Court on Sunday for allegedly abetting in the 20 million ringgit ransom kidnapping case. The accused, 57-year-old Chan Wan Kui, nodded in understanding when the charges were read in Mandarin before Judge Hazilia Muhammad. However, no plea was recorded as the case falls under the jurisdiction of the High Court. According to the charge sheet, Chan allegedly conspired with Chong Shi Ming and two Vietnamese nationals, Luong Van Tung and Tran Van Chung, in the abduction of a 59-year-old developer. She is charged with committing the offence at around 5 a.m. on October 13 at a residence on Jalan Straits View. The charge, framed under the Kidnapping Act, read together with the Penal Code, carries a maximum of 40 years imprisonment and caning upon conviction. The court denied the accused bail and fixed November 17 for the next case mentioned. The government has asked Bangladesh to provide the reason behind its request to extradite two businessmen, Bestinet Sindiran Berhad founder Aminul Islam and his associate Ruhul Amin. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said Bukit Aman had received an official notification from Bangladesh, but the reason for the extradition was not specified. He explained that the government requires clarification before granting approval for the extradition request and have discussed the matter with the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General.
Kalau tujuan menjalankan siasatan, kaedahnya adalah DACA kena gunakan saluran mutual legal assistance. Okey ya. Dan jika sekiranya DACA bertujuan untuk nama-nama itu dituduh di mahkamah. Jadi DACA kena invoke tujuan ekstradisi.
Saifuddin said this to newsmen after attending a ceremony at the Jawi Immigration Depot in Pulau Pinang on Sunday. The request from Bangladesh to extradite the two businessmen came following accusations that Aminul and Ruhul played key roles in a system allegedly involved in fraudulent extortion from victims, as reported by Bloomberg. Bangladeshi police have also requested that Putrajaya temporarily stop using the software supplied by Bestinet Sindiran Berhad, a company linked to Aminul, who is originally from Bangladesh and is now a Malaysian citizen. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has not received any official complaints concerning allegations from a whistleblower that several assemblymen had discussed bribes for a project license worth hundreds of thousands of ringgit. Its Chief Commissioner, Tan Sri Azambaki, said so far the MACC has only been approached by a lawyer representing the whistleblower who met with senior officials on October 30th.
Saya menggesa supaya individu berkenaan yang dikatakan terlibat dalam membayar wang, dia kena datang kepada SPRM untuk membuat laporan rasmi. Dan bagi pihak beliau yang memohon satu imuniti diberikan, iaitu tidak dikenakan siasatan dan juga pendakwaan, itu saya tak boleh beri sebarang garanti. Dan juga pihak kami juga tidak boleh menandatangani apa-apa agreement dokumen bertulis.
Azam clarified that any decision can only be reached after an investigation into the whistleblower's claims and depending on the Deputy Public Prosecutor's decision. During the meeting, the lawyer reportedly played a 17-second audio recording of several people discussing money. Earlier, a local news portal reported that there were at least 8 video recordings allegedly showing different assemblymen discussing bribes worth hundreds of thousands of ringgit in exchange for support for a state project. Aaron Woo-Yik lift nation's first title. Action from Korea Masters after this breather.
Promosi 11-11 Double Deal sudah bermula. Nikmati ganjaran, tawaran harga dan produk menarik bulan ini. Istimewa, dapatkan 11% wow cashback selama 3 hari sahaja. Jangan lepaskan peluang. Jom berbelanja bermula 10 November ini. 11-11 Double Deal hanya di Wow Shop sekarang. Beli, jangan tak beli.
Setelah permainan nyawa yang hampir meragut Noh, ujian getir Noha belum berakhir.
Mama tak nak Noh jumpa dia lagi.
Kita tak payah jumpa lagi.
Tapi hati saya tetap minta awak.
Mampukah mereka berpaut pada dahan cinta yang rapuh?
Sampai masanya, awak akan hargai masa-masa bersama saya. Kahwin dengan saya, Noha.
Saya dah ada pilihan nanti lain.
Luruhnya Bunga Cinta 2 setiap Isnin hingga Jumaat 7 malam hanya di Akasia TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Dapur kotor, punca lilati membiak.
Ini tanda you tak pernah cuci belakang juga. Tapi ini kesan pun sudah lama.
Pengendali leka, premis tercemar.
Banyak kali dah kita diingatkan, tolong basuh telur semua.
Saksikan 999 Selasa jam 9 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Get ready untuk pencarian 10 finalis terbaik Anugerah Juara Lagu 39. Mengangkat karya muzik ke tahap tertinggi. Hanya 10 teratas melangkah ke pentas AJL 39. Rasai sensasi muzik dan anda berpeluang memenangi Smart TV dan tiket AJL. Saksikan kelainan muzik-muzik 39 separuh akhir bersama hos paling menyala Izu Islam dan Fiza Frizi 14 dan 15 November 9 malam di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
We're back with sports badminton, the 2024 Korea Masters. National top men's doubles pair Aaron Chia and Soe Woo-yik landed their first title of the year after beating Jin Yong Kim Won of South Korea in a tense final on Sunday. The world number 6 pair had to work hard for their win, losing their first set 21-23 before bouncing back to take the next 2 sets 21-19, 21-14 after 66 minutes on court. With the hard-fought win, Aaron and Woo-yik become the first Malaysians to win the men's doubles title at a Super 300 event. The victory also allows the 2-time Olympic bronze medalist to qualify for the 2024 BWF Badminton World Tour Finals in Hangzhou, China next month if they can secure another podium finish in the Japan Open. On to football, the Super League defending champions Johor Darul Takzim JDT FC continued their unbeaten run with a resounding 5-0 win over Perak FC on Sunday night. At the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium, the hosts' breakthrough came in the 21st minute with Romel Morales opening the scoring. Brazilian striker Bergson da Silva doubled the lead just 2 minutes later, leaving Perak struggling to find their footing. Morales added to the visitors' misery by scoring his second in the 35th minute before Bergson converted a penalty just before the interval to make it 4-0. Bergson then completed his hat-trick in the closing stages, sealing another dominant 5-0 win for the Southern Tigers. Hector Bidoglio's side, and now with 40 points, sit firmly at the top of the standings. Turning to tennis, the 2024 Riyadh WTA Finals, Coco Gauff became the youngest player to win the title in 20 years with a grueling 3-sets victory over Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen in Riyadh on Saturday. The 20-year-old American showed her mettle against the Chinese player in the final match, coming back from a set down and holding her nerve through a gritty 3-hour and 4-minute affair to win 3-6, 6-4, 7-6. By clinching the trophy, the world number 3 became the youngest player to win the tournament since Maria Sharapova exactly 2 decades ago, and the youngest American since Serena Williams in 2001. Gauff also pocketed a record $4.8 million, the largest ever payout at a professional sanctioned tour event. Dutch officials confirm Israeli hooligans prompted Amsterdam violence. The details when Nightline returns.
Apabila keadilan dinodai rasuah, bermulalah seruan dendam.
Ilmu yang aku ajar bukan untuk anyai orang.
Kita balas dengan cara halus.
Menuntut bayaran atas segala pengkhianatan.
Janganlah kacau aku! Bayu!
Kata orang dia kena santau kata.
Akan ada mangsa-mangsa yang lain.
Perempuan Ilmu Hitam. Isnin hingga Khamis 10 malam. Di Samarinda TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Tahniah kepada rangkaian televisyen Media Prima. Bersinar gemilang di pentas Anugerah Sri Angkasa. Menawan Sri Angkasa, 17 anugerah jadi bukti. Hasil kerja keras dan kreativiti yang tiada tandingan.
Terima kasih ASA.
Bersama kita ciptakan lebih banyak kejayaan.
Sepasang suami isteri direman 6 hari bagi membantu siasatan seorang pembantu rumah dipercayai akibat didera.
Pihak polis menjumpai batang bedroom stick untuk memukul si mati ini.
Satu kes kecuaian dalam menjaga seorang pembantu rumah.
Sayang, nampak jam saya tak?
Alah, awak yang tak kemas betul-betul. Semaklah, serabut tau.
Hidup ini keras. Kita patut bertolak ansur dengan pasangan kita.
Kita kena ambil berat, ambil peduli dan saling berkongsi kesenangan dan kepayahan kerana ia adalah penghubung kasih sayang.
On to the foreign front, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump won Arizona, completing a sweep of all 7 swing states this election cycle. The battleground state was called just before 9:30 p.m. local time on Saturday, making it the last to be called in the 2024 election. Trump's Arizona victory comes hours after he was determined to have won Nevada, earning him 6 electoral votes. Arizona's 11 electoral votes shifted Trump's column even further over the 270 threshold, putting the final tally at 312 electoral votes for Trump compared 226 for Harris. The projected victory is a feather in Trump's cap, as it means he won all 7 swing states over Vice President Kamala Harris and flipped the state red after narrowly losing Arizona to Biden in 2020. Arizona had previously been a Republican stronghold, and during this year's campaign, the president-elect promised mass deportations of undocumented migrants living in the U.S. and has pledged to seal the border. He also said that he would complete construction of a wall between the U.S. and Mexico, which was started during his first presidency. Both Trump and Vice President Harris visited the state several times, with the former focusing heavily on deportation and the latter on tighter border security and pathways to U.S. citizenship. On another note, President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump are scheduled to meet in the Oval Office on Wednesday morning, providing an unusual image of the two men who have expressed disdain for each other. According to the statement from the country's press secretary, the meeting will be held at 11 a.m. local time after Biden extended the invitation for the meeting. Such a meeting is customary between the outgoing president and the incoming president and is meant partly to mark the start of a peaceful transfer of power under America's democracy. However, Trump did not host Biden for a sit-down after the 2020 election when he lost his re-election bid. Now, Malaysia strongly condemns the suicide attack in Qatar, Balochistan province, Pakistan, which resulted in the tragic loss of innocent lives and injured many others. The Foreign Ministry confirmed that no Malaysians were reported to have been affected by the incident. In a statement on Sunday, Wisma Putra extended Malaysia's deepest condolences to the families of the victims and expressed its solidarity with the people and government of Pakistan during this difficult time. The statement added that Malaysia stands firm in its position that terrorism in all its forms and manifestations poses a threat not only to the stability of a country, but is also a direct challenge to the international community as a whole. Malaysians requiring consular assistance may contact the High Commission of Malaysia in Islamabad or the Consulate General of Malaysia in Karachi. At least 26 people were killed and more than 40 injured in the bomb blast at a railway station on Saturday. Qatar has suspended its key mediation efforts between Hamas and Israel, it said Saturday, after its growing frustration with the lack of progress on a ceasefire deal for Gaza. A diplomatic source briefed on the matter said Qatar told Israel and Hamas it can't continue to mediate as long as there is a refusal to negotiate a deal in good faith, and as a consequence, the Hamas political office no longer serves its purpose in Qatar. The source added that Qatar also told Hamas it will have to leave if it isn't ready to engage in serious negotiations. However, according to an official with Egypt, the other key mediator, the country is expected to remain active in the negotiations, adding that Qatar is highly likely to return to mediation efforts if both sides show serious political willingness to reach a deal. Hamas has repeatedly called for an end to the war and a full withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza as a condition for any ceasefire deal. But the Zionist regime continues to insist on a presence in Gaza. Meanwhile, in continued Zionist violence, dozens of people were killed and wounded in an Israeli strike on a house in Jabalia in the northern Gaza Strip at dawn on Sunday. Footage circulating on social media showed about a dozen bodies wrapped in blankets and laid on the ground at a hospital. Residents said the building that was hit and had housed at least 30 people. Local media put the number of people killed at 33. However, there was no immediate confirmation of the tally by the territory's health ministry. Meanwhile, Zionist airstrikes on several towns on Saturday in the Tyre district in southern Lebanon killed 12 paramedics and civil defense volunteers and injured 3 others. The Lebanese health ministry said warplanes targeted the town of Deir Qankun, Ras Al Ain in the Tyre district, killing 6 emergency medical and civil defense operations volunteers and a paramedic from a charity organization. In an update from the recent attacks in Amsterdam, a city councillor confirmed that Israeli hooligans had indeed instigated the violence prior to the assaults. Noting that the Dutch government and the Amsterdam municipality initially described the incident on Thursday as anti-Semitic, a senior city councillor stressed the need for a thorough and objective examination. Social media footage exposed the hooligans running riot through Amsterdam's streets, chanting vile songs about Palestinian children and ripping down flags before the violent clashes grabbed headlines. The rampage included attacks on Moroccan cabbies and the tearing down of Palestinian flags from local homes and businesses. They even disrupted the minute silence for Valencia's flood victims, a show of disrespect many linked to Spain's criticism of Israel's genocide in Gaza. Meanwhile, the hate-filled chants were also brazenly repeated by the thugs after they were whisked home on 2 specially chartered rescue flights to Tel Aviv following the game. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as Vietnamese dancer MT Pop claimed the Dance Your Style title in Mumbai after he beat out Francis Rubix in a final showdown for the crown. With that, I'm Zahir, Kelvin, Abdullah. Thank you for watching and have a good week ahead.